Hey, look at me. I know you've been trying so hard lately, trying to keep fighting, trying to be strong, trying to keep believing, trying to keep fighting battles that no one saw, and you want to give up. You're looking up at God like, did you forget me? Did I mess up? What did I do? God, do you even see me? But God does see it. God is so proud of you, and you don't have to earn that. You don't have to earn God's love. Your worth comes from being His. When God came to the cross, what do you think He was thinking about? Nah, He wasn't thinking about all the pain and suffering. He was thinking about you. Jesus loved you so much that He'd rather die for you than live without you. And you know, damn, the crazy part is, Jesus saw us at our most evil, corrupted, broken self, and He still chose to die for you, because God loved you too much to lose you. And you know, God could have saved Himself. He could have called down an army of angels to save Himself. But if He saved Himself, He would never have been able to save you. Jesus gave up His life for you and for me. And He did this knowing that we'd all be so lost without Him. Jesus literally came down from heaven like the greatest paradise of all time. He could have given up. He could have had angels raise Him back into heaven. But He was not going home without you. And now we have nothing to fear, because Jesus has already defeated Satan. He gave up His life for that. I mean, that's got to be the most legendary finale of all time. I can already imagine Jesus on that cross, probably reflecting, catching fish with the disciples, the Sermon on the Mount. He probably thought about confronting Satan and even His birth all the way back on the manger. And then Jesus died, and I can imagine that the disciples were probably like, wow, it's over. We literally followed Him all for nothing. But little did the disciples know, God never fails. Alright, let me just take a step back for just a second. I mean, everyone always talks about the cross, but Jesus went through so damn much before the cross even happened. And I mean, just thinking about everything He did, He fought the toughest battle for you. He did the greatest act of love for you. And that's all because Jesus decided to keep going, no matter how hard that it seemed to get. Jesus even told the disciples, you don't understand what I'm doing now, but one day you will. Alright, let me trail back. Let me talk a little bit more about Jesus' story here. It all begins on Palm Sunday. This is when Jesus came triumphantly into Jerusalem on a donkey. And man, that's just so Jesus. I mean, He could have picked anything. He could have picked a war horse. But no, He picked a humble donkey. And this story's got a lot of heartbreak in it, so just bear with me. And these crowds, man, they praised Him. They would shout and praise. People believed that this was the Messiah. You know, they treated Jesus like a king. They didn't know what kind of king He was. The people placed palms down as in surrender. But Jesus didn't come to conquer. He came to save. And that's what makes Palm Sunday so powerful. The same crowd that praised Jesus and vowed to be at Jesus' side would soon leave for Satan and leave Jesus behind. And I can imagine Jesus couldn't enjoy the hospitality, because He probably said, y'all welcome me as a king, but you don't know my kingdom. That takes us to Holy Monday, where Jesus goes into the temple. But instead of peace, He finds the devil. And I tell you, Jesus was filled with righteous anger and warrior spirit, and He did battle with them. And it was all about cleansing and real faith. Even though these people, they knew the Bible, but they still decided to break peace with God. They still decided to sin. And even though they were living physically, spiritually, they were dying with every step that they took towards sin. And Jesus did battle them. Jesus was probably wondering, He was probably looking up at God like, God, what has come of the world that You've built? Maybe He even thought that back to Adam and Eve, and He was like, damn, Satan owned these people. And I'm going to say this gently but truthfully. Sometimes we are those people. Faith was never built by running from evil. Faith was built by fighting evil. We keep running, and if we keep running from evil, then eventually we might become just like those sinners. God battled those evil people that night, and Jesus doesn't want you to be perfect. He just wants you to try to be perfect. Alright, this takes us to Tuesday. Things start getting a little bit tense now. God totally confronts the devil on this day. On this day, Jesus goes to the temple, and he's teaching openly this time. But Satan didn't just let it happen. The religious leaders surrounded Jesus. They tried to trap him. They tried to discredit him. They tried to find a reason to unalive him. We're talking tough philosophical questions like, what's the greatest commandment? Love God and your neighbor with all your heart. The Pharisees must have been mistaken because Jesus can't be trapped. Jesus can't be wrong. God even exposed the Pharisees, saying that when Jesus came back, they wouldn't be right. They would be very far from right. Imagine this, alright? There's two pills. One is choosing God and all the treasures that God has to offer. And the other one is choosing the world. Alright, now think, what if God was coming back today? Which one would you choose? Yep, you probably would choose God. But which one do you choose in your daily life? Faith isn't an achievement, nor is it a goal, nor is it an accomplishment. Faith comes from the heart. The heart comes from a relationship with God. I know these past couple of truths have been hard, and it's hard for all of us, but what's a good story with everything going right? The truth is, truths are never easy, but they're always worth it. Jesus spoke the truth without fear, even when everyone denied him. Alright, that takes us to Good Wednesday, where surprisingly, not a lot happens. Sometimes they even call it the silent day of the week, because nothing really happened that was big. There was no sermons, no miracles, no teachings, just silence. Well, and that's surprising, especially with all the pressure mounting up. But instead what happens is targeting Jesus personally, targeting him deeply, painfully, powerfully. One of his disciples, not even an enemy, betrayed Jesus that day. And this moment hits a lot harder than anything else we've seen so far, because Judas wasn't a stranger, he wasn't an outsider, he was not even an enemy, he was one of the 12. He had walked with Jesus, he had seen his miracles, and he still chose Satan. Sometimes our deepest pain isn't from our enemies, it's from those that we trust. God said that he knew the disciples like brothers. Many people forget this, but God was human too. He felt pain, he felt sorrow, he felt suffering. At one point, he wanted to give up, but he was on a mission. And Jesus kept going on his mission. Alright, now it's going to take us to Thursday. I can only imagine how Jesus feels right now. He just got betrayed for something he never did. Can you even imagine the love, the humility, the surrender that takes to do that? And so Jesus gathers all the disciples for the last dinner, which we now know is the Last Supper. Jesus knew that the finale was near. He knew that he was near, yet he spent his last hours spending time with those that he loved. Jesus broke bread and gave it to the disciples and said that this is my body. So he gave wine to them as well and told them that this is my blood that will be given up for you. He tells the disciples things are coming to an end, and he washes the disciples' feet, showing them that true love, that he would lay down his life for his friends. Later that night, Jesus goes to pray. Imagine, Jesus was like, God, is there any other way that we can do this? But let my will not be done, but yours. The amount of strength that it takes to do that, I mean, God could have just called angels up up and he would have been back up to heaven. God did not give up. He did not give up on you. And he's not going to give up on you. And that takes us to Good Friday, which is possibly one of the greatest days in all of human history. After God got arrested for something he didn't even do, he suffered. He got mocked. He felt the same pain that we do every day. He got mocked, whipped, ashamed of, and still God pushed forward. God was sentenced to death. He was treated like a criminal. But his only crime was loving us. You know what hit so hard? He wasn't forced into the cross. He wasn't like, oh, time to go to the cross. He chose it. Because he knew that for you, he had to do this. Nope. He chose sin. He chose pain. He chose suffering. Everything that we should have taken for us. Heck, he could have saved himself right then and there. But if he saved himself, he never would have been able to save you. Imagine how Jesus feels right now. I mean, I bet he's been reflecting on everything that he did during his life. The disciples walking on water. Maybe he even thought of his birth back all the way at Christmas. But Jesus gave up all of that for you. And if you think that life isn't fair, that you're not special enough, the only thing that isn't fair is what Jesus had to do for us. And you want to know what God remembered on that cross? His greatest joy was you. He remembered that you were a part of God's design. Then in those sealing moments, God was like, wow, that's it. It's really over. Disciples must have said something like, wow, we really followed him all for nothing. At this moment, Satan probably threw a party with all of his demons in hell, but little did he know, God was already on the way. Disciples might have sat there and thought, wow, we failed him. Little did they know, God never fails. On Sunday, everything changes. The tombstone is rolled away, Jesus is alive, and most importantly, you are saved. You will always be a part of God's special design, and you always will be. Satan tried to get rid of you. He tried to make sure that you could never be a part of God's special plan. But Jesus made sure that wouldn't happen. And that's it. Christianity wins. And the disciples must have been like, wow, God. You really did it. Oh, my brother, look at me. I've been trying so hard. But God never failed. And I love to show this picture. This is the disciple with the cross. And that, you see that painted sky? He never deserved any of that. But God gave it to him. And God gave his life for that. Peter must have said, as Jesus was about to ascend up to heaven, God, why are you leaving? When will I see you again? I will come back one day, and I will wipe every tear away from your eyes. Until then, remember that you are always a part of God's design. And you always will be. That was it. It was over. Jesus went back to heaven. And Peter finally found his purpose. He finally knew where his heart was. No matter what, he'd always remember that he was a part of God's design. Thank you for watching this video. I love you all so much, but Jesus loves you more.
As God is my witness. As God is my witness, I'll never be taken for a fool again. As God is never be fooled again.